Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first webinar of our second open call from AID4SME. I'm Joana Martinheira from F6S, one of the partners of AID4SME projects, and I will be today's moderator of this webinar. And I would like to start sharing the agenda for today. So after this welcoming part, we will share with you more information about the AID4SME project. This part will be presented by Matteo Kirchner from Q11, AID4SME coordinator. Then we will present each challenge of this second open call. It will be presented by Bastien Walpa from Leitats, the responsible for the challenges creation in this open call. And then we will share all the details about the application process and all the steps to apply for this open call. And this will be shared by my colleague, Danielle Silva from F6S, our open call manager. And finally, we will have some time dedicated to the questions that you can write in our Q&A box. And I will share more details about these parts in the next slides. So some guidelines for today's webinar to make sure that everything runs smoothly. We would like to ask you to stay muted unless you're invited to speak. You can and you should use the Q&A box for any comments, any questions, or any technical issues that you might be facing. We're here to help you. And then during the Q&A parts, you can also raise your hands if you want to ask a question or contribute. In any case, we will advise you to write down the question in the Q&A box. And during the last 10 minutes of the webinar, we will try to answer all the questions. If we are not able to answer them all, we will make sure that your question and the answer to your question is provided in the open call dedicated webpage. Okay, so we also would like to let you know that this webinar is being recorded, and we will make the recording available on the project's YouTube channel. And we will also provide the presentation slides on our webpage. And of course, all the participants will receive an email shortly after this webinar with this recording, with the presentation slides, and with more information about our next webinar. If you hear any information that is provided today or that is sent via email, web, or other means that goes against what is mentioned in the guidelines for applicants, you should always refer to these guidelines. They are provided in the open call webpage, as my colleague Danielle will explain, and you should always refer to them. So without further ado, I will now give the stage to Matteo, who will present AID4SME projects.
Yeah, thanks. And can you confirm that you hear me?
Yes.
Good, great. Then also from my side, thanks a lot for joining us. Thanks a lot for your interest in our project. I will spend the next 5 minutes just to give an overview of the project. My name is Matteo Kirchner from the University of Leuven in Belgium, and we are coordinating AID4SME. If you can go to the next slide. It's a busy slide. You have all the details and the codes of our European project, but I put a square there on the title. I think we should start there. So what we want to do is to enable SMEs and startups, so you, to develop AI and data solution, and we want to support you through a community of practice and through playgrounds, which are basically our labs, both at industrial scale and at university and research center scale. I will get back to this a bit later. And then another detail of this slide is the last line, which is actually not official yet, but we have asked for a slight project extension. So if we look at the timeline, you will apply for collaborating with us starting more or less in November of this year for a project that will last a bit more than 1 year. And originally, if you go on Cordis, you will see that our project finishes at the end of 2027, but we have asked for an extension so that also Open Call 2, which is the one that you are applying right now, can fit in our project and there are no issues there. So consider it as official, even if it's not on paper. Next slide, please. Good. So in our project, we are 16 partners, and you can see on the slides who we are and where we are from. If you recognize some of these logos, good. If you don't recognize some of these logos, if everything goes well and you will be onboarded in our project, you will have a chance to meet us. And in any case, towards the end of the project, we will try to put together a broader community of practice where you can also participate. Next slide, please. So just to give you a broad overview on our project, how it works and what we want to do. So when we prepared this project, we thought that there is the need for startups and SMEs to use more AI and data tools for in several stages of our businesses. So some of you may be interested in using AI and data techniques for collecting data. Some of you may already collect data and would like to get more insights from this data. Some of you maybe already have data and some insights, but would like to use this information for taking decisions of what to do in your production or in your development. And some of you would like to use it for automation. So those are the four umbrellas, as we call them, where we think that AI and data can benefit you and can also benefit you in the Green Deal transition. So we believe that using AI and data can also have an impact not only on finances, but also on the Green Deal and making companies and the world more sustainable. I also put a QR code there, so if you want to connect with us on that page, you will have all the links to our social media, webpage, and so on. Next slide, please. So in a nutshell, what we want to do in our project with those four umbrellas, we want to make sure that from our side, together with you also, we develop a community of practice where we learn from each other and we can support SMEs and startups to develop AI and data solution. And then if I move to the block on the right-hand side, we want that Europe does better in adopting AI and data technologies for our businesses and for our Green Deal. And then last but not least, in the middle, what we are promising now is to support at least 20 projects where SMEs and startups are involved to help you boost your cases. And we do that through these open calls. And today we are talking about the second open call. And we do it through FSTPs, which are financial support to third parties. So I'm sure that you're aware of that. And if you can click, Joanna, and another click, sorry. Just to give you a quick overview of what has happened and what is happening now. In the previous open call that was open until the last September, then we selected 11 projects out of 270 applications. Not all of them were eligible. So please, when you submit your application, make sure that you are eligible and you fill in all the information. If not, fortunately, you will not count it there. The project of Open Call 1 started the 1st of March and will run for 14 months. So let's say until April 2027. And what matters for you, now the applications for the Open Call 2 are open. You can apply till the 15th of July. And then my colleague Danielle later will tell you more about that. And the idea is that the project will start then in November 2026 and will run until the end of 2027. Next slide, please. Which is my last slide. So I mentioned before that we want to support you. Our support is not only guidance, but is also collaborating at our facilities, which means that there are a few partners, which are more the research partners on the left-hand side, which are owner of what we call the low TRL playgrounds, and there are industry companies in our consortium on the right-hand side, which have what we call high TRL playgrounds available. So what is important for you when you apply for one of our challenges, and challenges description will come later, the next slide by my colleague, you are applying to collaborate with us. So please make sure that there is a nice link to our labs and our interests, because that will boost your probability of success, actually. So that's everything from my side. Then I will leave it to Bastien, who will introduce the challenges.
Good morning. My name is Bastien from Leita Technological Center based in Spain. And together we walk through the different challenges that are being addressed by the call, why they matter, and what kind of solution we're looking for. So for each solution, we will focus on a concrete use case, the problem that has to be solved, and the expected impact for a successful solution. On the next slide, we can see the 10 different challenges that are addressed by AID4SME. So here the main message is that small and medium enterprises face a broad set of different practical barriers, and we're trying through the adoption of digital and AI solutions to tackle them. So these challenges matter because they directly affect productivity, competitiveness, environment, and the ability for SMEs to scale up in a fast-changing market. As we move to the different slides, we will see that in each different challenge, there is a different use case, there is different business needs, and different solutions that are expected. So if we start with the first challenge, we will see that this one focuses on one specific industrial challenge, which is measuring force, the stress, the torque, and the power in a way that is practical for real production environment. So there is already existing methods that are often too expensive and too intrusive and too difficult to deploy at scales, which limits the usefulness of the factory floor. So in this case, with Arcelic as low playground, we'll be working on a refrigerator production facility. The proposed solution that we're looking for is an augmented sensing approach that combines low-cost, non-intrusive sensors with digital twins models and real-time virtual sensing. So the goal is to enable first-time right mold adjustment, reduce manual interventions, lower waste, cut down time, and improve overall operational efficiency. On the next slide, we will see that we focus on the challenge of connecting product design and production operation through digital twins. So here the core issue is that manufacturers cannot optimize sustainability, quality, and efficiency in installations. Product choices and production settings influence each other, so both need to be managed together to reduce waste, energy use, virgin material consumptions, and defects. The use case here is Arcelic, where extruder processes combine virgin plastic, recycled scrap, and master batch. If the mixing is not controlled well, the results can be discoloration, cracking, higher scrap rates, lower recycled content, and greater dependence on virgin materials. So the expected solution is a product production digital twin supported by better sensors, stronger quality control, AI, and data analytics, and real-time control of parameters such as mixing ratio, screw speed, temperature, and pressure. On the next challenge, we will focus on a major refurbishment challenge, which is hygiene inspection. It's still slow, manual, and too difficult to scale. So today, assessing cleanness, sanitation, and surface condition often depends on swab tests and ATP detector, which takes around 30 minutes per product and provide only limited spatial insight. So at Arcelic, this matters because roughly 70,000 returned or rejected products are processed each year. So the current approach creates a real bottleneck for objectives and efficient decision making. The use case here is to introduce an AI-based contactless inspection system that combines hyperspectral or multispectral imaging, infrared thermography, and predictive decision models. The goal is to detect residues, moistures, contaminations, and surface condition much faster and more consistently, so refurbishment decision can be automated and financial value. On the next slide, we introduce the challenge of building a digital twin-based decision support for microgrid operator. So the core issue is that operators need to size and control electrical and thermal energy assets under changing demand, renewable generation, storage behavior, and price conditions. The use case here is a microgrid digital twin that can simulate local energy systems and support asset sizing, smart control of loads, integration of thermal storage, and provision of auxiliary grid services. The Expect solution is a practical decision support tool that helps to optimize component sizing, predict heat and electricity demand, and control distributed resources in real time. On the next challenge, it's about enabling more flexible automation in manufacturing. The specific use case comes with LTH casting. The goal is to enable a humanoid robot to carry on a simple pick-and-place task while moving between workstations based on instruction provided by humans. In other words, the system should take human guidance and turn into practical robot behavior in an industrial setting. The expected solution combines several elements: digital work instructions, knowledge capture from operators, learning methods such as imitation and reinforcement learning, and multimodal perception and navigation. On the next slide, we focus on battery manufacturing, on defect detection systems. But the response here, in practice, that means that important know-how often stays informal and is not standardized and can vary from one ship, one person to another. So in here, the use case is battery electrode coating and quality controls, where operators need to decide how to respond to the defect by checking machine settings, tracing possible upstream causes, and selecting the right corrosive action. The expected solution is an AI-enabled system that captures expert knowledge, connects detected defects with corrective actions, and turns that into adaptive digital works instructions. On the next slide, we will focus in internal logistics. So in this use case, LTS Casings wants to improve the transport of around 200 pallets across the shop floor. We are focused on buffer warehouse management, pallets and material flows, coordination between forklifts and MARs, and faster response to machine trigger requests. The Expect solution is a digital twin-based smart planning tool that can generate and prioritize tasks in a dynamic way, optimize fleet and route management with AI, coordinated fleets, and provide operators with practical dispatch instructions. The target impact is very tangible, with better vehicle utilization, less empty travel, fewer logistics-related production stops, faster response times, and more efficient warehouse and buffer space. On the next slide, we will address the automated energy management in part productions. So the core issue is that during unplanned downtime and short stoppage, machines and supported systems often continue running even though they're no longer creating value. That leads to unnecessary energy use and higher operating costs. In the LTS use case, production cells still do not have automated energy-aware control during downtime, and especially systems such as cooling temperature unit and air management systems. The expected solution is an automated energy management system that can detect machine cycles and downtime in real time. On the next slide, it will focus on semi-automated EV battery disassembly for recycling. So the core issue is that battery packs differ widely by manufacturers and models, which make disassembly difficult by standards, scales, and safety. So the use case in here is a dismantling process where operators manually carry out and record steps, identify others, and create data that can be stored in a digital product passport. The expected solution is a practical combination of tools: interface for recording operations, clear hours of logging and visualization, and digital product passport integrations, digital instructions, and support for human-robot collaboration. On the last challenge, we will address refrigerator door gasket installations. So in this case, Arcelic that has a production line that needs a solution that can handle different doors, shapes, and gasket size, apply the random amount of force, and reduce the chances of deformation or rejection. So the expected solution is a cobot assistant assembly approach that combines AI, adaptive control, and human-robot collaboration. Okay, this is all for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bastian, for this challenges presentation. And I would now like to give the floor to my colleague, Danielle. The slides are loading. Okay, Danielle,
Okay.
I believe you can hear us now, right?
Right. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Good
great.
morning, everyone. And sorry if you are hearing some kind of background noise. I tried to fix it, but unfortunately I wasn't able. So if it is working well, perfect. If not, thank you for understanding. Okay, great. Thank you so much for confirming. Okay, now I will dive into the open call to application requirements and how to apply. My name is Daniel Silva, as my colleague Joanna said. I work at F6S, and I'm the open call manager for this project. So next slide, please. Okay, here you will find like a very summarized information about this call, like this fact sheet, where you can find the main information about dates and also number of projects that will be funded and the type of grant. So as you can see, the call is currently open. It opened 2 weeks ago, more or less. It will be running until 15 July 2026 at 5 p.m. Brussels time. We have an indicative budget of around 2.35 million. We expect to fund up to 12 projects with a maximum contribution of up to 200K funding rate of 70%. I will explain better this part in the next slides. If you are selected, you will be on board on this program that is organized by the consortium. It is expected to start in November 2026, run for 14 months until December 2027. And as I said, the type of grant will be a lump sum form. Here I leave a few relevant links and contacts for you and for you to understand better about the call if you want to get more information about it. Even where is the official application form. I will also address this during my presentation. If you have any question, you can always try to reach out to us to the help desk email that is also displayed here. And if you are not completely aware what a lump sum mechanism represents, you can also find here a very useful links where you can find more information about it. Next slide, please. So now I will start mention the main eligibility requirements for this call, just for you to understand if you are eligible or not. And as Matteo informed, we have a very focus on SMEs and startups in this project. We want to support them and want to have them enrolled in our program, and that's why SMEs and startups working on these technologies, on AI and data solutions, are eligible for financial support. So those are the eligible applicants. And if you are if you are an SME, or how can we define an SME, we are using the definition that is commonly used by the European Union. So here is a link. You can go there and verify if it's the case for you. If you are selected, you will be required to submit a SME declaration showing that you are completely a real SME according to this definition. Next slide, please. In terms of consortium requirements, we are open for submissions where the beneficiaries can submit as a single entities or a consortium of up to 2 entities. Every time this needs to be led by SMEs or startups. Nevertheless, we have also this category where we can also have other organizations as a second partner. However, and this is very important, without requesting any funding. And if you are asking why, you can see the first part of the presentation done by my colleague Matteo, where the AID4SME consortium is mandated to only provide financial support to SMEs and startups. Nevertheless, I can show or can try to do a very easy exercise with some scenarios here. For instance, two SMEs working together can apply as a consortia. That's totally fine. They are applied, and one of them are leading the project. We can also have like an SME working with the public research center. That's totally fine as well. But only the SME can request money. The funding, the other cannot. But that's are the scenarios where this can happen. Next slide, please. In terms of eligible countries, we follow mostly what are the eligibility of entities from countries from the European Union member states with a valid VAT at the time that you are submitting, not at the time that you are selected. So this is very important. You have to demonstrate that you had a valid VAT the time when you are submitting your call, your proposal, sorry, and also Horizon Europe associated countries as defined in the Horizon Europe rules for participation. And in our specific case, and take into consideration the rules and also the time when the grant agreement of the consortium was signed. At the time, the list of countries that were producing legal effects was the version 3.1. So we are using the version 3.1 as a proxy for us to define which countries are eligible. If you want to know if your country is one of them, you can also link or click in this link and find that information. I understand this question probably will raise, just to let you know that at the time of the signature of the grant agreement, both United Kingdom and Switzerland were not considered as eligible for the Horizon Europe program. So they are not also eligible for the second call, for this particular call. Next slide, please. Okay, you click it. Okay, great. In terms of multiple submissions, so just to let you know that each applicant is only allowed to submit one application. It doesn't matter if you are applying only as a single entity or in part of a consortium. This applies for all the other organizations that I mentioned before. Nevertheless, there is a specific case where research institutions can be part of more than one application. One thing that I wanted to also highlight here is if you submit more one application, only the last one will be eligible. So all the first that were submitted first, the ones that were first submitted first will not be considered as eligible applications. And this doesn't matter if you are applying to different challenge. So even if you apply to 2 or 3 or 4 challenge, that rule will apply. The last submitted application will be the one that will be considered eligible. Nevertheless, according to take into consideration this second specific rule or this exempt for these research institutions, any entity, apply individual or a part of a consortium, will only be considered for funding once. Next slide, please. Types of projects. So my colleague Bastian already addressed this in very detail in the previous slides, but what we are trying to do is to support in a balance and have a balanced distribution of application among the challenge. As you can see, we are addressing up to 12 proposal. That means that we will have specific challenge with more than one application selected under that particular challenge. At this time, I cannot tell you which challenge will be the case, so we will understand better in terms of quality of the project, what are the outcomes that are bringing to the consortium as a whole in order to select the second proposal per challenge. In this case, until we reach the maximum supported projects. Next slide, please. And here we are talking and addressing a little bit about the funding conditions. As I said, eligible applicants will only be considered for funding once. This is very important. And each application will apply for 70% funding of its eligible total project costs. What that means, it means that, for instance, you can request a maximum contribution of 200K. and that 200K will represent 70% of your total project cost. It means that the remaining part of the total project cost will be funded by your own funds, so by the applicants. So that is the meaning of the funding rate. In any case, you have to provide a justification of all planned costs and research, and there is a specific area on the proposal template where you have to justify your costs. I would say that, okay, it's important that you indicate why those costs are necessary and why you are indicating those costs as important for the delivery of your project, since we have the implementation part sections where we have to understand better if there is a reasonable allocation of resource according to what are the expectations for your project. So this will be evaluated. Nevertheless, we understand that this is a lump sum grant at the end, but in any case, just to understand where the resource will be allocated, this information needs to be very clear and you have to provide this justification. In terms of costs that are eligible within this cost, we have the normal personal costs where we have to indicate, you have to indicate the PM rate and the purchase costs that are related to travel, to equipment that you might need. When it is related to equipment, only depreciation costs are eligible, and other direct costs that you believe are important to allocate to your project. And then we have the indirect costs that represent 25% of the costs of the other category costs. One thing that I wanted to highlight is that subcontracting is not allowing these open calls, so no subcontracted costs can be allocated to these projects. Next slide, please. In terms of evaluation phase, here you will find the phase that you have to go and advance in order to be selected. The first one that we are doing will be to check your admissibility and eligibility according to the rules of this call. This will be done internally by the consortium. And if you are eligible, you go to and advance to the next stage, which is in-out challenge scope check. Basically here what we are doing is looking at a specific section of your application form where you have to demonstrate that you are aligned with the challenge scope that you are selecting. We are not reading the proposal here. We are focusing on that particular section. So make sure that you demonstrate very clear that you are aligned with the scope of the challenge that you are selecting. If you are okay, you advance to the second phase, which will be the application evaluation that will be done by two external evaluators to the consortium. So we are inviting people, expert on the areas that we are in it, and they will perform this evaluation for the AID4SME project. Then the top 3 ranked proposals per challenge will be invited for online interviews. These will be performed by challenge owners and playground owners from the consortium when applicable. So you can also bring your playground owner as one of the institutions that I mentioned in the consortium requirements. And then we will have tried to understand better how we conduct this. But in any case, just to let you know that we'll have an online interview. Just to also to inform you that everyone will be informed of the results of the negative results first until the application evaluation. So every time that you don't pass to the next phase, you will be informed and the reason why you didn't pass. If you are not receiving any kind of feedback, it means that you are probably advancing in the process. Nevertheless, when the time comes to the application evaluation, doesn't matter if you are invited to the online interviews or if you are not selected, you will be informed as well and receive a letter of information. So next slide, please. In terms of criterion and weights, as you can see, the last 2 phases, the expert evaluation or application evaluation and the online interviews will have different criteria that will be assessed at that time. On the expert evaluation, we'll have 4 criteria, each one of them with different weight. whereas the online interview will have only three. We'll focus only three criteria. We will provide you a template in order for you to demonstrate and cover these criteria when the time comes. And you will find the sub-criteria for each criterion in the guideline for applicants. So if you want to understand what are the specifics that are being evaluated in each criteria, you can go to the guideline for applicants and have access to that information. In both cases, we are having these or established these minimum threshold for each criteria. So you have to reach at least a minimum of 3 out of 5 to be one of the options for the selection procedure, while for the overall score, we are talking about a threshold of 9 out of 15. At the end of each phase, applicants will receive an evaluation summary report. Since those are two different phases, we can do that, and we are doing that. Next slide, please. Here we are having, like, I will not cover all these, but these are the score rationale that we are using for the evaluation procedure. We are the applicant, the experts will mark the sub-criterion with these scores from 0, where you've completely failed to address the criterion that were under examination, to 5 that is basically excellent, that everything was perfect, and you all the aspects of that criterion were addressed, and any shortcomings were minor. So that's the score rationale. Next slide, please. And then, if you are selected, you will be enrolled in the AID4SME program number 2, which will be split in 4 stages. So those are mandatory, you cannot change. You will find that in the proposal template as well, that you have this structure in 4 stages, and the time that is allocated to each stage cannot change. So those are predefined. So you just need to go there and include your innovative solution in the way that follows this very specific and very strict stage. So the stage 1 will have a discussion with the challenge owner and the playground owner in order for developing like an action plan for the remaining of the project implementation. From month 2 to month 8, we'll have the stage 2, which basically represents the development of the innovative solution and proceed with integrations at playground owner sites. Then you advance to the stage 3, where we are testing and validating the solution. This will cover 2 months, month 9 to month 10. And the stage 4 will be a solutions assessment and business plan from month 11 to the end of the project, where you will assess and develop a business plan with you and an exploitation roadmap. Next slide, please. Here you'll see all the services that will be at your disposal during this program. One thing that I wanted to highlight, and just not go in more detail because you can read and you will understand better. One thing that I wanted to highlight here is that assigned mentors from the AID4SME consortium will be done to your project. So you'll have internal mentors from the consortium just to follow and help you and guide you during these during the course of the program. So you have someone that you can always reach out and discuss your solutions and try to make sure that you are completely aligned with the requirements of this call. Next slide, please. And one thing that we are also making mandatory is a specific set of deliverables that you have to complete by the end of the month that are indicated here. So one of them is the intellectual property agreement with the playground owners. Doesn't matter if you reach an agreement in terms of something for the IPR, or if your decision there is no agreement to decide. But in any case, we need this report at the end of month 4. at the end of month 10, a test evaluation report, and then at the end of month 14, a business plan and exploitation roadmap. Of course, this doesn't mean that other deliverables specific for your case may not be listed in the proposal description. So you are free to include other deliverables, and I believe those are important. Of course, as well, take into consideration that we are discussing a 14-month program, so be reasonable on the number of delivers that you suggest. Just make sure that you can deliver everything at the time that you identify in your proposal. Next slide, please. And I need to speed it up a little bit. So here is the indicative timeline. As I said, submission deadline will be on the 15th of July. Then we'll have the remote evaluation. We are doing our best and plan in order to have the results by and conclude this stage by mid-September. Be aware that the online interview will be probably conducted during the first week of September. And then we have the contracting stage from mid-September until end of October, with the beginning of the program on the first day of November. Please be also, those are indicative timelines. There might be some adjustments during the program and during this process. Nevertheless, one thing that we will be sure is to everyone be informed of any alteration to these dates. And then we cover the how to apply part, so it will be very easy, and I will be quick here. So there are three main steps that you need to do. Basically, get informed, read the guideline for applicants, register to or create an F6S account if you don't have it already, and submit your application through the F6S platform. There is no other official platform, so you have to use this in order to be eligible. Next slide. How can you find the guideline for applicants? You go to our web page dedicated to the open call, and you have a specific open call documentation kit where you can find guideline for applicants, the proposal template that you need to submit, subgrant agreement, and the other documents that you need to submit if you are selected. Next slide, please. And of course, to read the guideline for applicants, everything that I'm basically demonstrating and presenting here are available on the guideline for applicants. Next slide, please. And yeah, everything, as I said, read careful. There are a lot of information that you need to be aware of. Next slide, please. Register, it's very easy. Go to F6S account and click sign in if you don't have an account, and create an account using our Google email, or even continue with an email. Then you create your profile. Next slide, please. Those are the documents that you need to be aware. So the guideline for applicants, the challenge description that was also mentioned during this presentation, the proposal template. Please understand that there is a new proposal template different from the open call one. So if you are using the open call one proposal template, it's not eligible under this call. So be aware that you are using the right proposal template, and you submit it with your application form. You can also find the different fields of the application form in this annex. And if you are selected, all these documents below are important for you as a reference. Next slide, please. So you click on this link that you can see here with the apply, and you go to the application form. Then you start creating your and submitting your application. One thing that I want to mention here is that you have to create a company page in order to be able to submit your application. Next slide, please. And any question that you might have, you can use the help desk, or you can use the discussion board, that you put your questions and doubts directly in this discussion tab. Next slide, please. Open call tips. So those are a few. There are a lot that we can cover during the Q&A if needed, but please read very carefully the open call documents, especially the ones that were in the top layer of that previous slide. Double check okay, there are to double check no, your entity eligibility and project scope. That's very important. Please understand if you are eligible or not. You are putting time to prepare this application, and one thing that doesn't give us any pleasure is to reject applications after you put a lot of effort and time to prepare applications. So please confirm your eligibility. You can always reach out to the help desk and confirm, and also read the FAQ. So the frequent asked questions, we have an extensive FAQ in our open call page, so you can go there and verify before you go to the help desk and to the discussion board in the F6S platform. Please go to the FAQ, because I believe most of the questions that you might have are already covered in this section. And do not forget to upload the right proposal template. And I believe that's all from my side. It took a little bit more time, but okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel, for this detailed presentation on the application process. So now we can move on with the questions, and I'm checking if we already have questions. And yes, we do have one first question. I would like to ask for a clarification regarding the scope of the challenges under AID4SME Open Call 2. So this is a lengthy question. Let's start with the first part. Are applicants allowed to propose their own specific industrial use cases outside the consortium's predefined playgrounds, provided that the proposed use case is clearly aligned with the overall challenge theme and that the solution addresses the expected technical components and KPIs? So there's one example here, for example, regarding challenge 2.1, should proposals be strictly focused on the injection molding, extrusion related manufacturing processes described in the challenge text, or could other manufacturing processes also be considered eligible, such as composite manufacturing processes involving resin infusion and curing if the proposed solution follows the same product production digital twin logic? I am asking in order to better understand whether an SME-owned industrial use case could be proposed while still remaining fully aligned with the challenge objectives. And the last part of the question is if the presentation in our webinar recording will be shared with the participants. I can already confirm it will be shared with the participants and also made available on our communication channels. So going to the first part of the question, perhaps Bastian and Matteo can support with the answer.
Yes, maybe. So thanks for the question. So the reason why that's challenge and the other ones also in this case injection molding is mentioned is because one of the partners has an injection molding facility and one of the partners uses injection molding for their products. So if you propose a challenge where you focus on composites, you need to make sure that there is some link to our consortium, because we are not a founding agency, so we just don't give you money for do whatever you want. But the reason why we have 16 partners in our consortium is that 16 partners should support you and collaborate with you. So if you propose a topic which is completely off, to be honest, you have less chances that you will be picked. So you are allowed to propose a challenge on composites, but try to find a link with the partners of that challenge in another way, because if not, you are a bit out of scope. That's just my 5 cents.
Thank you. Thank you, Matteo, for answering this question. Then we can move on with the next one. How can we engage with the community of practice and project partners prior to proposal submission to ensure alignment with open call objectives? Daniel, if you want to answer this question.
Of course. Okay, the community of practice now changed to the LinkedIn, if I'm not mistaken. Right, Joanna? Please confirm.
Exactly. Yes, we have a LinkedIn group now.
And anyone can join if they want, right?
So basically, the idea of the LinkedIn group, which is considered the space, the interaction space within our community of practice, is that once you are selected for the open call as an SME that has won the open call, you will be added to this LinkedIn group where you can interact with the other SMEs and with the project partners, but you cannot do it prior to the proposal.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much for confirming that. One thing that we are, of course, trying to make sure is that the information that we provide in the guide for applicants with the talent description should be for you to ensure that your proposal is completely aligned with the open call objectives. So we believe that there is no prior need for prior engagement with the community of practice and the project partners in order for you to be able to submit your proposal. Another thing that we want to ensure is that everyone that has access to the same information and everyone will not be any kind or receive any kind of benefit for being able to communicate with the project partners or the community of practice. So what I will say is that it's not possible at this time. We believe that information is available in the documents will be enough for you to be able to submit your proposal, considering the description of challenge and also the other things that are related and described in the guideline for applicants.
Thank you, Daniel. So we have more questions in our chat. I can see that one of them is already being answered by Mateo, so perhaps I can start with the one that still doesn't have an answer. Will there be an opportunity to meet with industrial playground owners to get more details about the use case within reasonable commercial sensitivity and pre-NDA considerations? Danielle, I don't know if you can answer this one.
I also just posted, sorry, I just posted a quick answer. We cannot check what you do in your free time, so we cannot avoid that you contact whoever you potentially want to contact, but that will not help you going through the selection procedure, because your proposal will be reviewed by 2 external evaluators, which are not part of our consortium. So even if you would get in contact with the playground owners, that will not help you going through. I don't know, Daniel, if you want to add anything here, because I interrupted you.
No worries. Thank you so much for making that mention, which is important. In any case, what are the indications that we are giving to the consortium member is to not engage in any discussions, prior discussions with potential applicants. So even if you try, the recommendation is not to engage in any specific conversations with the potential applicants. And as I said, all the information that you need to provide your proposal or to submit your innovative solution, we believe that are very detailed in the challenge description and also in the guideline for applicants in order for you to be able to submit a winning proposal.
Maybe if I can add, if we receive specific questions that are for a specific challenge, we will make sure that the people of that challenge reply and not just me or Daniel. So there will be a way to get information when you have specific questions.
But again, let me reinforce your message. This information, of course, will be available for everyone as part of the fact. So,
of course,
as I said, every time before you address the help desk email group and also or the F6S discussion board, please double check the facts, because probably the question that you have is already there, or the answer that you are looking for is already available on this particular section.
Okay, all clear. Thank you. Thank you both.
Okay. Regarding the
yes,
commercial sensitivity, we didn't completely reply. In terms of IPR, there is a specific description in the guideline for applicants where you can go and double check wherever it is written there. I cannot remember by words, so please double check the guideline for applicants. In any case, any sensitive commercial detail or technical commercial sensitivity solution that you are proposing will be, first of all, any consortium member plus the experts that will conduct evaluation will be under a confidential agreement. So no one can use anything that you are submitting for any commercial purpose. Those will be the protection that we can guarantee at the time that you are submitting the proposal. And anything that if you are selected and you advance, you will be able to discuss any potential particular case directly with the playground owner as part of this mandatory deliverable, as I indicated in my presentation. So you are basically secure and safe in terms of sensitive information.
Okay. So unfortunately, we are almost reaching the end of this webinar. So because the other question is being answered by Matteo, I would like to ask if any other participant has any question. If so, please feel free to leave it in the Q&A box. Otherwise, as Danielle has mentioned, probably most of your questions are already answered in the fact session of our Open Call to webpage. If not, then you have several channels that you can use to raise your questions via our help desk email or the discussion board within the Apply webpage on S6S platform. So you have several ways of reaching us, and we'll be happy to help. As a final note, I would just like to highlight that we will have a second and final webinar on the 25th of June, because this will be held in a later stage of the application process. We will be focusing on answering your questions. So we'll make a short recap of the open call process, and then we will spend the rest of the webinar answering your questions. So if you would like to participate, make sure that you have your doubts, your questions ready, bring them to the webinar. And as I mentioned, shortly after this session, we will send an email to all of you with more details about the second webinar, as well as the registration link. So I don't know if any of my colleagues has anything else to add. Otherwise, I would like to thank you for participating, for helping this webinar being organized, to Ruxandra for helping us hosting the webinar, and to all the participants who managed to join us today. And I guess I will see you next webinar. If not, then good luck with your applications. Thank you.